Yo, YouTube, what it do, gang? It's your boy Fly Guy with Fly Guy TV, and we are back with another one, man. This boy Adam22 is back at it with these race debates. I don't see what is his point. Like, this channel is not for that, but I started to watch a little bit of this, and I was like, oh yeah, this should be a good one. That boy Brandon be over there talking that high-powered black stuff, and just off the dribble, this white man is talking a bunch of nonsense, so... Brandon, you better dismantle this man. I got some faith in you, my brother. We finna check it out, see how this go. Let's get into this content, y'all. What the...
Found out about you because you have a very provocative Twitter account. I Hypocrite is your username on there. We can link to it in the description, everything like that. But yeah, how'd you get started in content creation?
Oh man, it's been a long journey. I've been doing this for like 10 years, and basically it's a long story. I'll give you like the really short version. I was kind of like a degen, liberal, druggy, promiscuous, all that stuff. Got a girl pregnant, had to be a dad, realized there was going to be a conflict to do both of them. I mean, I was a total up. I was like broke all the time and that. So I decided to like get my act together.
You still don't look like you've improved much. I might say so myself.
Quit smoking weed all the time, quit playing video games all the time, and then I just had like time on my hands, and that's when I started making content because I saw other people doing it and making money. I was like, shit, I could do that. So that's basically how it started, and then it's been like a long journey. Like I found Jesus along the way. I became Christian. I got married. I have a family now with more kids, and yeah, that's the Coles Notes version.
Okay, and yeah, where would you identify yourself as being at politically at this time?
Pretty far right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has that been a bit of a journey? I guess, like, where did you get radicalized along this path?
Yeah. So it's like I said, I started all the way progressive, normal, liberal, went to sort of the anti-SJW thing. That was kind of like the first step in 2015. That was when I got into making YouTube videos and just kind of a frustration of all these people are annoying, you know, all the virtue signaling, all that kind of stuff that was going on. A lot of the stuff being shoved in your face. So, and they were just kind of dumb, like a lot of the gender stuff too. A lot of the stuff they said didn't make sense. So from there, and then I started to like learn a lot about racial issues, red pills about like crime statistics, you know, Muslim terrorism was happening a lot back then.
Bunch of bullshit.
And just kept pushing me further and further to the right, basically.
Definitely. Well, so for people out there that are just tuning into this conversation for the first time and don't know about Brandon, do you affiliate yourself more with the conservative side of things as well?
Yeah, I'm more right leaning. Yeah.
And you haven't been familiar with his content until I sent you his accounts and everything?
No, never heard of him.
Okay.
Never heard of him.
Kind of a dismissive way right there.
No, I've never heard of him.
He's not making enough.
Shut your bitch ass up, Adam. He ain't never heard of him. He ain't say no dismissive way. Simply say he ain't never heard of the nigga. This nigga out here talking about some racist white man shit. Why would I hear about this nigga?
It's for me to pay attention to.
You're reading into that.
Of course, Adam know who he is. This is the type of shit Adam like watching on his off time. Racist shit.
Okay.
Just never heard of him.
I'm analyzing your voice a lot
I don't
today.
even need this.
Okay.
I called him Zesty right before we started too, which is problematic.
Zesty, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so, I guess we should confront this head on. When I was describing this debate, which was supposed to be with somebody else at first, when I was describing it on a previous episode of No Jumper, which I don't know if you actually caught wind of it, but I essentially referred to you as being sort of outwardly, openly racist.
Yes.
Does that seem like a true statement, or would you like to add caveats?
No, I say that I'm racist. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what it means.
I'm racist. Fucking weirdo.
Racist, like I have a black person over for dinner. You know what I mean? It's not like hateful. It's not like I can't be around them or anything like that. But I think that we need well, basically white people need more racial consciousness. They need to start acting like a group because all the other races do that already.
Where the fuck has this nigga been? Has he not heard of the KKK?
And so it's just kind of to our detriment that we're the only ones playing this like blank slate egalitarianism game, and where no one's on a team. We're all Team America or whatever people want to say, but all the other races are kind of like, no, we're a team. And you see a lot of that in what's built up to this.
No.
Like the Shiloh Hendricks thing was kind of,
This nigga just said shit. Black people do not work as a team. It might look like that on the media for a quick second. That shit go right back down the drain. The only ones that really work as a fucking collective are Hispanics and white people. The fuck is he talking about?
the catalyst for this debate. One of the catalysts for that was the Carmelo Anthony thing. You see the way a lot of people rallied around him, giving him money. There was another one that happened this week too with this Rodney Hinton Jr. guy. I don't know if you guys heard that story. This guy, his son like stole a car, was in a police chase. The police chased him. He had a gun. The police shot him. He died.
Okay, so see, this is where the typical white man ideal thinking comes into play. So of course the police are going to be like, the car was not stolen. Rodney Hinton's son owned that car. He was late on one car payment. The car payment people were the ones who called the police and reported that car stolen because he missed one car payment. He was a 19-year-old boy, probably going through some shit. Probably lost his job or something happened and he couldn't make the payment. But they need to be held accountable for a part of that too. Because if they would have never caught that or reported that car being stolen off of one missed car payment, then police wouldn't have pulled that boy over thinking that that car was stolen. And he did not have a gun on him.
Rodney Hinton Jr. got in his car, went and found an on-duty police guy and killed him. Mm-hmm. The guy had nothing to do with what happened to his son, but he just wanted to go out and like get back one of theirs.
Because we tired of that shit. Like I said in my last video regarding this situation, man, like I don't 100% necessarily agree with his judgment on going to go get an innocent officer. But at the end of the day, niggas is tired of this shit. I'm not finna sit around and wait. Y'all wasn't trying to give no identification up on the officer who killed my son. It wasn't no telling if I was ever gonna get that information. It ended up leaking too. The information is out there. If y'all want to go find the information on that officer, it's out there. But do I blame him? No, I don't blame him. I don't agree with it 100%, but I don't blame him either.
Kind of thing. He's got a fundraiser now where they've raised like $50,000 from him, and they'll lie about what happened. They'll say the kid was innocent with the Carmelo Anthony thing.
He was, you fucking piece of shit.
Say, look, he was like this grade A all-star captain of the football team, choir boy, and it's like none of it is true. You know what I mean? Or at least with the Carmelo Anthony stuff, none of it's been substantiated. So there's a lot of lying, and it's just kind of this racial tribalism where they come together and defend their own, and white people don't do that, and it's to our detriment. But there's more and more and more white people who are getting fed up. You're going to see the word fatigue a lot in the coming days. People are starting to say, they're like, we're tired of this, we're tired of like the constant indignities. The murders is a big part because there's a lot of murders that are black on white, and we see those all the time. There's another one this week, this girl Logan Federico, a really beautiful blonde girl killed by just this like soulless black guy who went into her car to her house rather to get her credit cards or whatever.
This shit is gonna piss me off. I already know it, but for him to label that one black, he bringing up bullshit ass instances. This is what they do. They just spew out a bunch of shit that they mesmerized over time and stand on it. A bunch of bullshit. None of this shit that he's speaking is facts. But this is his opinion. And he's entitled to that. But you're fucking wrong, Mr. White Guy.
And it hurts me, man, when I see it. It hurts me. I've been seeing it every day for like 10 years.
Hey, this is Vlad's brother. This nigga's related to Vlad. Go pull up a picture of Vlad and pull it up to the side of this nigga.
And I think the Shiloh Hendricks thing, that was the reason people gave her so much money, was they're sending the message of, we are getting tired of this.
No, definitely. Yeah. It feels like that scenario definitely doesn't play out the same way without the Carmelo Anthony thing fresh in people's memory, which is, not to say that white people don't have some secret affinity.
I see. Brandon already tired of hearing that shit. Let's go, B. I need to hear something. Nigga, you've been quiet. We 7.5 minutes in already.
That people on a playground, but it definitely feels like there's this kind of rise in white.
And they talking about that case where, all right, babe, they talking about that case where that fucking white lady caught that little black kid a nigger at the park. They really feel like that white lady was in the right for that. People are supporting that white lady for that. They're bringing up the difference between that white lady being supported and calling that little black autistic kid a nigger and the Rodney Hinton Jr. case. Y'all tired of all the systematic injustice? We is too, nigga. We tired of getting killed for no fucking reason.
Consciousness of their own race, where there's so many things throughout our, throughout my life that I've observed where it's like there's tribalism allowed by everybody except for white people. They're just not allowed to express any kind of salt.
Adam, shut your bitch ass up. What are you saying right now? For all the niggas that still work with him after this, y'all niggas need to be a fucking shame to yourself, bro. This is how he really be feeling deep down inside. Because there's no reason why these debates should be coming on this podcast. This podcast is not for this. Make a whole nother channel. Do some whole other content about this type of shit. But for all you dumbass niggas, broke ass niggas that still try to go up here and work for this nigga just because y'all want a little bit of clout, pay attention to this fucking video.
Or pride in being white, right? And even you, I think, would acknowledge that, right?
No, I mean, I acknowledge it to a certain extent. I think you're very, misinformed. Dylan Roof.
Exactly.
Had people trying to donate to him. Many mass shooters who are white had donations funds started, but white-owned donation vehicles like GoFundMe, GiveSend, and Go shut those down. So look at Shiloh Hendricks, for example. Kyle Rittenhouse, which I think Kyle Rittenhouse didn't do anything wrong, but there was this significant push by non-white people and white people to demonize Rittenhouse. He still was allowed to have a GoFundMe. So I believe white people kind of started that, you're going to do something messed up and we're going to throw our financial might behind it. So what you're not even a racist, which that already makes me kind of look at you weird.
You just shut that nigga down already. Goddamn. All right, B. Come on.
There's only one race, human beings. You break us down beyond the skin, we're exactly the same.
Facts.
Why don't you own?
You got bad apples in every goddamn group, nigga.
Right now. Let me show you
Every
a path
tree,
that can
there's a
change
bad apple.
Your life, your financial future.
Oak tree, maple tree, bamboo tree. Well, they ain't got apples in them, but y'all get the fucking
muscles, soul twitch muscles might be a little different. I don't know. That's arguable. But the thing is, you're really just prejudiced. And you're really you're punching down on black people because you're disillusioned with things that your race has created, or you're ethnic. That's what you're doing. You're ethnocentric. But we'll just say racist for the sake of this video. Sure. So you're disillusioned with the way your race has manipulated things because it doesn't work in favor of a significant segment of your race. Black people have been throwing your people alley-oops since 500-600 years ago. Literally, the only reason you were able to have slaves which built this country. And I'm not saying in the fact that we just did the physical labor, but created an economy that was strong enough to immediately compete with the world powers because you had a unpaid labor force working in the fields, working in factories. Black people in Africa went into interior of Africa and got those slaves for you because you guys couldn't survive for 3 days in the interior of Africa. That's a fact. We brought those slaves to the coast, so all you had to do was load them up and take them to wherever you want them to go. That's called an alley-oop. Us doing something for you that benefited you. Would you argue that point?
I would argue several.
You don't know nothing about it.
Said there.
No, specifically the alley-oop part,
yes,
where blacks went into the interior of Africa, got slaves, brought them to we were complicit, but we brought those slaves to the coast, which made it easier for you to take them and profit from their labor.
I would not argue that black people enslaved their own people and sold them to white people. I would not argue that. That definitely happened.
Right.
I would argue that it wasn't as big of a deal in terms of turning America into a superpower as you're trying to claim. Africans also enslaved each other, had slaves in Africa. It never turned Africa into a superpower having slaves. Basically, there were slaves all over the world, basically. So really, like picking cotton, there wasn't even that many slaves who were.
What he's failing to even realize is Africa is way beautiful than what we're shown. They show us the little fucking feed the kids, donate 50 cents and feed a kid for a month type shit. There's really beautiful ass parts of Africa, but they don't want us to see that.
To America. So I just don't really think, like, I don't look around at the civilization, Western civilization, and think, oh, wow, I owe this to black people.
But I'm not saying you owe us anything. What I'm saying is you're very ignorant because when you say race, you're talking about a bunch of people all over.
He's already getting ticked. You can see him getting fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Triggered. He's getting triggered. Adam is just sitting back. Adam, he know how to low-key hide his face a little bit better, but I ain't even paying attention to him. I'm paying attention to the dude who he brought on.
World. Your ancestors came from Europe. Mm-hmm. So you have a very narrow view of the situation. And that's probably because you spent more time being a junkie than actually studying this shit.
Hey,
I'm being real
with
you. So when you say race,
you're a junkie. You've done more research than myself.
He said it.
You did say you was.
He said it. The nigga said he was doing drugs for a long time. I messed up, got a girl pregnant, found guy. You was a fucking junkie. I guarantee it.
Messed around with drugs, but
you're a
junkie is kind of extreme,
I never touched
right?
drugs. I never smoked weed. I never drank a beer.
Okay,
listen,
sure.
I never smoked weed, never drunk a beer, never smoked a cigarette. Okay. If you did that, you are a junkie as far as I'm concerned. I'll tell Les she's a fucking cigarette. I don't care.
Smoking a cigarette. Shut your bitch ass up, Adam. Just the overall fact. You know what the fuck he mean. You such a weirdo.
What I'm telling you is, if I haven't done it, you decide to play in this arena because you're talking about racial superiority. Yeah. So we're going to do that. So what I'm telling you is the race is more than just in your country. So would you say that slavery had no benefit to the colonial or imperialism of white people?
I mean, in the long run, it had a huge negative effect.
No, I'm talking about initially. So the white empire did not benefit in any significant way from slavery.
It had probably a small benefit to the small people who owned slaves who personally.
You mean the Queen of England? The king too? That's what I'm saying. Your view is very narrow.
Almost 4,000 enslaved Africans were brought directly to what is now the United States from Africa during the transatlantic slave trade.
But what he said about race encompasses more than just America. Because you're not just American. Where do you descend from in Europe?
Oh, the vast majority were sent to South America and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Only about 3% of that total. Around almost 400,000. Yeah.
But do you know who owned those plantations in South America and the Caribbean? White people.
Okay.
So I'm asking you, you're trying to minimize the impact of slavery, but you're talking about race. When you say race, you're going beyond the boundaries of America. You're telling me that the British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the French Empire, they didn't benefit in any significant way from all those sugar plantations in the Caribbean, all those freaking banana plantations in South America. They didn't benefit from none of that.
Well, no, of course they benefited from the plantations.
In a major way?
The trade. Yes, but the thing is, those wouldn't exist without the white people who went and made them. That's the whole thing. Like all that wealth that was sitting there in Haiti and Jamaica, white people went and were like, we know how to extract this and how to turn it into something. Otherwise, it would just be sitting there.
And they wouldn't exist without the Africans who went into the interior of Africa to capture slaves and bring them to the border like a drive-through.
Yeah, but
Isn't that an ingenious plot hatched by these evil white people, to be fair?
But the point I'm arguing is,
he's
trying to minimize the contribution black people have made to everything most of the things white people have done that are significant. And I'm saying, no, everywhere you find a successful white person, there was a black person who also in many ways was benefiting, but who basically threw them the alley-oop. I'll give you another example. If you I thought you wanted to say something.
Yeah, let's focus on that one first, before we do more examples.
Two things real quick. Think about it logically. If millions and millions of slaves went to South America, went to Brazil mostly, and places around there, and the slaves were so beneficial, those places should be the big superpowers because they had more slaves. The slaves are not really the big deciding factor. The reason America became the superpower is because they had the best white people basically who made the country. That's first of all. Second of all, whenever you get into these racial conversations, it always turns into, let's talk about history. Let's talk about 400 years ago, because black people don't want to talk about what's happening right now. The stuff I just brought up with the murders, and there's a whole bunch more things I'm happy to bring up. People don't want to talk about that because it's way harder to defend. We want to go back 300 years and be like, what happened there?
Believe me, we're getting there, but I'm not going to negate or ignore the historical context because I know that you haven't really considered these things.
Shout out to that boy Brandon for conducting himself in such a good way. I appreciate you, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. If people be talking shit about you and feeling some type of way about you, man, like, you know, it is what it is. But I've been around guys like you, so I could deal with you, man. And the way you're articulating, the way you're articulate, God damn. The way you are fucking articulating yourself and articulating yourself, I don't know why the fuck it was so hard for me to say that. The way that you're articulating yourself and the way that you're handling yourself and your demeanor, I tip my hat off to you, brother.
I'm telling you is most of the money made on those plantations went back to the European countries that the people who owned them descended from. They paid tax to the crown. They had their main abodes back in their home nation. What I'm telling you is this: the reason America did so well economically is because we were the last people to outlaw slavery. So it makes sense that America economically rose above the rest of the European nations, because like 1810, before 1810, Britain outlawed slavery and said, if you get caught moving slaves, we're going to destroy your ships. Well, guess what?
You're welcome.
The Americans continued to sneak slaves in, and they also did something called the intra-American slave trade, where they start moving slaves around between the Caribbean and in America. So if you hold your slaves the longest, so you gotta have a free labor source the longest. That means you're going to be more ahead profit from those slaves the longest, which will what? Bolster your economy. Adam, for example, you're a business owner. You own a business?
Technically,
No.
but I don't have employees.
Okay, Adam has employees. Adam, imagine a guy with no jumper west across the street. He doesn't have to pay any of his hosts. He has no overhead. Everyone's just showing up working for free. In the realm of capitalism, would he not have a significant advantage over you economically because you have to pay everybody?
Sure, yeah.
Even provide health insurance in some cases if you have a certain amount. So we're not going to eliminate or negate the fact that America had a major alley-oop from black people in two ways. We not only brought the slaves to the coast of Africa for you to take them wherever, we also inside of America worked for free for a significant time longer than European slaves, which bolstered the American economy.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that big. I think you're blowing it way out of proportion. We can agree to disagree on that.
No, so we can fast forward in history. 183,000 African American troops served in the Civil War. The North could not have won without those black, well, they were African, and they weren't even Americans yet, soldiers. Even Lincoln admitted to that.
He ain't got nothing to say about that. He don't know about it.
I'm already mad at black people.
Ulysses Grant. No, Ulysses Grant admitted to that. Ulysses S. Grant admitted to that.
Yeah.
Those black battalions were a crucial part of the North maintaining.
That's the problem with racist white men. They're ignorant as fuck. His brain is already shut off. He can't even fathom the facts and the history that Brandon is hitting them with. He just wants to go. The shit that he brought up in the beginning is bullshit. White people are not being systematically oppressed. They're not being systematically racist. None of that shit. Black people, we don't have no type of advantages over y'all.
This
is crazy that this is even an argument in 2025.
And submitting the Confederacy. So everywhere you turn in history, if you're honest, Spanish-American War, again, you guys' immunity, your weakness, internal weakness, prevented you from going to Cuba to fight the Spanish. So you know what you guys did? You know, this is a quiz. What did you guys do when you couldn't with Spain in the Caribbean? What did you guys do to win the Spanish-American War?
I don't actually know. Did we send blacks?
You recruited a bunch of black people into the military. Actually, they were already in the military and sent them. Please go fight for us because we're too weak to fight for ourselves because our immunity isn't up. You were not inoculated. So that's the one thing. You guys have benefited from black people greatly. You understand that black people in many ways.
Well, I mean, Spanish people are European, so that's like a brother war.
The Spanish used indigenous people from Cuba to fight for them. They were also too weak to go into the interior. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is this.
Here's how to never have to worry about money after a car accident. Listen, if you have been in a car accident in the past year.
To sum it up, white people feel and recognize a certain level of inferiority to black people. You guys understand that?
Come on, man.
No, I'm telling you.
What?
You guys understand that. And so, you know, if you go up against a black person head to head, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to win for whatever reason. Maybe it's just comfort. Maybe it's like white fragility, as they call it. But so what you do is you manipulate situations to get a advantage. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You should do that. But I'm trying to tell you, why did Europeans work with African chiefs? They knew they couldn't go in there and snatch Africans from the interior of Africa. Why did they bring the black troops into the Civil War? Because they knew we're not strong enough alone to keep this union together. Let's go get these big ass slaves who've been lifting bales of hay, picking cotton all damn day, looking like superheroes, 6-pack. Let's go get them and throw them into the theater, the military theater, and see what happens. And what happened? A victory. Spanish-American War as well.
Yeah, sure. I think blacks actually have a pretty decent record in the military. That seems to be one of the areas where they don't do really poorly compared to everywhere else. My personal theory is that black people do better when they have their discipline kind of enforced on them by white people. So that's why, like, going back real quick to the colonies, if you look at Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Haiti, they overthrew the colonizers, the slavers, killed everybody off, got their independence like hundreds of years ago. Dominican's Republic stayed under the white rule for much longer, and it's way better off now because white people were running things for so long.
That's not why.
That's not?
No, it's much better off because France imposed taxes
on
Haiti.
Yeah.
This is a fact. This is historical. Are you arguing historical fact?
No, I know about the.
Okay,
I know about
France
the debt.
imposed taxes.
Yes.
So you don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I do.
So
I do know.
Okay, who started the Haitian Revolution?
Haiti has so much resources.
Who started the Haitian Revolution?
They should be so rich right now.
Who started the Haitian Revolution and why?
Specifically who started it, I don't know.
Okay. The Haitian Revolution was not started by black slaves. The Haitian Revolution was started by mulatto descendants of slave owners. Do you know what a mulatto is?
Yeah, they killed all the mulattoes.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure they did because they were so racist. I read that.
Listen, the mulattoes,
Look it up.
let me explain this to you. The mulattoes were mad because they wanted French citizenship. They would not give it to them. They wanted to be accepted by France. So they raised up a rebellion and they went and started killing the white slave owners. And they fought with French troops. They recruited the black slaves to fight in their military. Once that revolution was done, they wanted the slaves to go back into the fields and work for them. So when you talk about this should be better off and that should be better off, actually no, because the mulattoes were the ones who controlled the economics. If you're having taxes imposed on you for a war you didn't even start, it's going to make it really hard for you to grow economically and build all that shit you see in the Dominican Republic.
So you're saying they didn't kill all the mulattoes. They just went back to work for them after the revolution, and the mulattoes were the ones running everything in Haiti?
No, what happened was many of the mulattoes left, but the mulattoes had several mulatto rebellions following the Haitian Revolution. They didn't kill all the mulattoes like you want to say.
They didn't kill all of them. They killed a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
They killed a lot of mulattoes, but you have to understand, many mulattoes had children that were mixed. Sure. Many of them had mothers who were slaves and stuff. So who used to be slaves. So they had a family connection with many slaves. What I'm telling you is, you're ignoring context in the name of bolstering white superiority. And if you're going to say you're better, which I don't have a problem with you doing that, just understand the context in which you're saying that. Because we're going to move into the modern day and we're going to argue that as well.
Do you really believe that white people have an inferiority complex towards black people?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, some would say that's a racist belief. That's a negative viewpoint that you hold about
white people have a cuckold culture. And it wasn't all. No, I'm not saying it was always that way. I'm not saying it's always that way. But white people, good times make soft men. Right?
Sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah, sure.
So you guys have enjoyed a certain level of success that has made things very comfortable. And the problem, you are not Theodore Roosevelt. You're way softer than him. He'll beat the shit out of you out there in the parking lot. He was a white dude who was a gangster. He was a commander. And as a matter of fact, he said his black troops that he commanded in Cuba were the best troops he ever commanded. He's on record saying that, by the way, since they only do well. But here's the thing. You guys just have become incredibly soft and comfortable. And so instead of building up the grit, now you use manipulation tactics to dominate. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We just recognize that when we look at the historical record.
Well, okay, I'll bite. What are the manipulation tactics that white people use?
I'll give you a very an easy example. So when you look at black people, even in sports, right? Let's say sports. Any sport or any field really that black people compete directly with white people, usually black people rise to the top of that spectrum or that theater, right? So
in sports,
in education,
in mathematics, in chess.
Okay, so let's say this.
Science.
Okay, let's use the military.
Yes,
Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
Way more successful than the average white squadrons of bombers. This is a fact.
Man, this is the thing about you black people. You have this whole we was history where you did everything.
I'm not saying we won the war.
You were the best at everything.
I'm not saying we won the war.
I think it's exaggerated.
I didn't even say we were the best. What I told
That's
you
what's
is
wrong
when
with
we
you
were
white
given
men.
the opportunity equally, we rose to the upper echelon of that theater. I'm not saying that was the...
This is Vlad brother, by the way. This gotta be... I can almost bet money he is some way, somehow related to Vlad.
Squadron. Clearly, that best squadron probably was white. What I'm saying is we have this natural ability to float towards the top of every environment we're placed in. There used to be a bunch of white people playing basketball. Who in there now?
Yeah, I think black people have a predisposition towards basketball because they're taller on average and they're athletic, and there's a lot of.
But
other
we just brought up the
like
Tuskegee Airmen. It has nothing to do with athleticism.
Well, I think you're watching these Hollywood movies and think, you probably think black women sent us to the moon.
No, I don't think that at all.
Hidden Figures or whatever.
I don't think that at all. I think Hidden Figures was a total embarrassment, and it was very ahistorical.
Yes.
I'm going to give white people credit where it's due, but I'm telling you, the number one type of porn that is watched in America.
This white nigga suck. He probably with a racist ass, hillbilly ass trailer park bitch that smoke fucking. She eat crystal meth. She don't even smoke it. Her teeth probably blue.
By white men is what? Interracial.
BBC.
Black dudes boning white chicks.
But it feels like all the things you're going to are like physical in nature.
Yeah, we can go to the mental, because we know that there are great black scientists and stuff. Would I say those black scientists have contributed more than white or European scientists? No, not to technology or anything like that. But you got dudes like what's the super smart dude's name? The black dude.
Neil deGrasse
Tyson. Right. No, but what
that guy's an idiot.
No,
man, come on.
Whether you believe he's an idiot or not, he's respected in his field.
Yeah.
That's what he parlayed into
He's kind of
success.
propped up for being black. We have this concept called black privilege, where black people get propped up just because they're able to do something almost as competently as a bunch of other white people.
No, because we do it better and we make it more interesting. Neil deGrasse Tyson is propped up because he's exciting to listen to.
Yeah, he's a good public
There's
speaker.
a guy who's 10 times smarter,
Right.
but he's lame as. So you're like the person behind the scenes directing the movie, but then you get mad at the actor because he's loved by everybody.
I don't know that he's loved by everybody, but I think the big contention here is that he's like some respected scientist. He's more of like a TV host than anything.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has done more for the field of astrophysics by being famous, being recognizable than any white astrophysicist, because like the closest to him would be like Bill Nye, right? We all know Bill Nye. What I'm telling you is that black excellence benefits everyone in the long run, because now it's cool to be an astrophysicist again. Now it's cool to be like this super smart. You know how many kids used to get bullied in school for being super smart? Now people watch Neil deGrasse Tyson and you say, man, I'm just into like physics. And people are like, oh, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's dope. We opening doors, but we throwing y'all alley-oops all day.
And he's definitely useful in that regard. You need to have people who are basically advocates for the sciences and everything, but also, I mean, he's probably not the top scientist. He's just good at communicating it to the layman.
There are black people who I respect for their intelligence. I probably wouldn't personally put Neil deGrasse on the list, but there are others. There's people like Thomas Sowell. You got Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice. There are intelligent black people. There's others I could name. So I'm not disagreeing with that, but they are sort of they're rare. They're very rare, relatively speaking, right? Like, we know the average IQ difference between black and white people is like a standard deviation. So it makes sense that white people are going to do better in business, build better societies, do better in literature, like all the things that require intelligence, basically, whatever it is, chess, math, engineering, you're going to see white people do significantly better.
IQ is definitely probably one of the landmines that we might as well just intentionally step on right now. I don't know that you've ever argued this, or do you have any kind of real interest in this?
And Neil deGrasse Tyson's probably like got a fair bit of European DNA.
I think his name's deGrasse, but
I think he's like half white.
But you guys made up
a lot of the black people who get propped up, they're half white. Obama's half white.
But you guys made up the one drop rule, so we're claiming that. What I'm saying, what I'm
nobody fuck with Obama. I know you do, white boy. Nobody fuck with that nigga.
is this.
R. Camel cigarettes.
You can say that, but you can't even name 3 white economists.
Milton.
Who Milton?
Oh,
Yeah.
Friedman. Milton Friedman.
Okay, damn, he's dead.
Neil is black and Puerto Rican.
Oh.
Okay.
You're claiming Puerto Ricans now?
No, I'm just saying. No, Puerto Ricans are
black and Puerto Rican. You just said it.
Actually, some of them.
Really? His mom's not white?
No. Yeah, I know. That's Bersha Bubble. Tell me 3 white economists.
Yeah. Stupid. First one he
man.
thought.
I don't know. I could if I sat here and thought about it, but
I'm sure
it'd be boring.
But what I'm saying is this: you can say, "Well, white people dominate in this, white people dominate in that." Listen, man, you could be the smartest guy in the room, the best financial advisor ever, but if you can't sell books like Robert Kiyosaki, you ain't shit.
No, that guy's a retard.
Because he is, but he's good at writing books and selling people this idea of him being an expert on financial literacy. And that's what black people bring to America.
Black economists constitute approximately 3% of U.S. economics PhD holders. Latinx economists, which by the way, ChatGPT actually using Latinx, 4%. Asian Americans, 17%. White economists, approximately 72% of doctorate level economists at the Federal Reserve.
Right, but guess what? The only economist that he could name off the top of his head was who?
Well, he's not an economist and probably not a huge economy.
He's the one who brought up economists. He's the one who brought up economy. The only economist you could bring up off the top of your head is who?
Milton Friedman.
No, Thomas Sowell.
Oh, yeah.
He's an economist. You didn't even know that.
No, I did know that. I know that.
But that's the one you know. And so while white people contribute, in my opinion,
He's
way more
schooling
than black
this
people
nigga
to building up America, black people have a significant impact on not only the building of America, but of the exporting of American culture, which makes everyone around the world want to be like an American. It's just a
That's
fact.
a fact.
And
A lot
I
of
use
people-
sports. I use
Everybody wants to be black without being black. Let's just say it. When you look at all these fucking street cultures, when you look at everybody's culture, when it comes down to it, they all have a black side. The Hispanics have a black side. The Asians have a black side. Hell, even the white people have a black side. I know they be mad as hell at them niggas, but you know, everybody wants to be a part of our culture. Whatever we're doing at the time, everybody wants to be a part of. That is a fact.
just anything we do, we kind of rise to the top. I mean, damn, look at the UFC. Look at anything. And there's a reason for that. So you guys now say, we're not going to compete equally with them. We're going to manipulate shit so we can remain relevant in these areas. And that's what happens.
Right. So going back to the manipulation, you brought up sports and we got off on that big tangent. How do we manipulate the situation?
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can.
In the 1950s, the black families per capita coming out of the Great Depression were better off, have more economic, have more resources basically than the average white family.
I don't think that's
Well,
true.
you go look up your history.
That's not true.
Okay,
That's
so-
Look up your
absolutely
history.
not true.
Let me finish.
What should I look up?
Man, listen.
You're saying black families in the 1950s had more wealth.
I didn't say we had more wealth
net
per
worth.
capita.
Higher net worth per capita than white families in the 50s.
How could that possibly be
There's
true?
no way.
If that is true, then like everything that every black
Look it
activist
up.
is telling us is bullshit.
yeah.
Like,
Look it up.
Yeah, the whole reason black people are supposed to be poor now is because they never got their houses passed down to them. and
The
stuff
reason
like
black
that.
people are poor now is because white people, in the name of capitalism, which I'm a capitalist, they saw the need to assimilate, to bring black people into their economy. You can just watch on YouTube. There's a thing called How to Sell to the Negro, where the Secretary of the Treasury of the United States of America was like, look, there's this untapped class of consumers, black people. He literally was like, 1 in 3 black families own a home. Black people are known for buying quality goods, being willing to spend a little more on what they purchase. Literally, he told white people, stop being racist. Go sell them things because they have money. Then you guys sent your agent, Martin Luther King, in to make black people feel like being close to white people was the coolest
Was a
thing
good
ever.
thing, yeah.
The FBI literally worked with Martin Luther King to spread.
Right before the nigga died, he said, I think I led my people to destruction. And you fucking did, Martin Luther King. fucking motherfucker.
Message. That's the manipulation. If you guys just want to do head up, like, okay, let them do their thing, we'll do our thing. In reality,
we gonna take
people will
off.
be damn near surpassing white people in America by now.
In 1950, the median income for black families was about half of that of white families.
Do you understand how significant that is in the terms of economics?
A lot, yeah.
That's good.
And by the 60s, it had only risen by about 5%.
better than
But
that.
you know why it only rose by 5%
No, it's not.
by the 60s? Think about it. You coming out of slavery, you didn't got. In the few years we were free. White people was free the whole time. We got to half of your net worth. Well, basically your per capita wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. These people coming out of slavery can't read, can't write, picking cotton. In just that short span of time, we made that much advancement. You guys saw, damn, these dudes are moving fast. They're coming up fast.
What
and our women like sleeping with them and making babies. Listen,
Why'd you stop?
because that's when the damn psyop started. That's when the Martin Luther Kings came in. Oh, we need to be brotherly with white people. We need to go. Listen, when you got black people getting beat up and bit by dogs just to go eat a sandwich next to a white person, you know there's manipulation at play, right? Because black folks are scared to hell of dogs, like a lot of us. You know that there's something, some outside entity that is pulling strings within that situation. Because why would black people give up their own economy, which we had our own economies, we had our own towns, our own doctors, our own mechanics. Why would they give that up just to go?
That white people got mad at and came and bombed and set ablaze every single fucking time. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about who the real violent people are. And this wasn't too long ago. They was running in the whole black towns, killing everybody in the towns, raping the women, killing the kids, everybody. There's whole towns underwater that ain't even been talked about. Lake Elsinore, look that up. That was a whole thriving black community.
Sears Roebuck, just to go shop at Woolworths. Why would they give up autonomy to be a second-class citizen under your shit? It's called manipulation. It's called psyops. And that's what Martin Luther King was.
Yeah, I mean, his handlers were Jewish, but
They're white. They're white.
well,
Germans.
We don't claim that.
Germans. See how you know this is true.
I don't think they're white, so we don't.
They're white.
We don't have to get into all
Polish
that.
people are white.
What is your theory on why Africa is not doing so well? If black people are so amazing, how do you explain that? It's all white people's fault, all up and down the entire continent.
The thing about Africa, it's a complicated situation, but short story shorter, I got that from one of the viewers. Basically, Africa is busy trying to adopt ways of governance that they traditionally don't even understand. So because African countries just came out of colonization, like not even 100 years ago, it's just taking them time to build up the wherewithal to like install these foreign systems of governance. So you got to understand, black people came out of slavery in like the 1800s. Africans just came from up under colonization in the 1960s. So it makes sense. These are growing pains. When you guys were living in the caves of Europe, you didn't just walk out one day and build a Tesla. You took time. You fought with each other. You freaking did incest, all types of crazy stuff. The tribes of Britain, you know, the guys put the blue paint all over their body. You know about that, right? Okay, you didn't know your history. Damn. But the thing is, it took advancement. The Roman Empire was technologically advanced. 300 years after the Roman Empire.
He can't even argue with this nigga. The white dude is just arguing off of emotions. He don't even know what he's talking about. He's just arguing off of emotions. Brandon know what he's talking about. I'm still waiting to see. I want to hear them get into the modern day situations, man. We probably gonna fast forward this here in a little bit.
They didn't even have sewage systems in England. See, there's a regression that occurs. Even though you might have been here at one point, if you are stripped of your culture, or not even your culture, but if there's been your culture, your development has been stifled, you have a regression, and then you have to crawl up out of
There's
that.
places that were never colonized in Africa,
Right.
and they're worse off than the ones that were colonized.
Name one of those places.
Oh, fuck. I want to say, if I could look at a map, I could it's either like Ivory Coast or the one next to it. And also places in, I think, in
what language do they speak in the Ivory Coast?
I don't know.
French.
Is it French?
So how were they never colonized?
It's around there somewhere. He
don't even know what he's talking
You're
about.
talking about Guinea-Bissau.
The two parts of Africa that were never formally colonized by European powers during the scramble for Africa were Ethiopia and Liberia.
Liberia, yeah.
And he has to go Google this shit. Get your weird ass out of here, Adam.
Yeah,
Ethiopia.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Ethiopia.
He don't even care about this shit. He just wanted to throw this shit on here to start some shit. This wasn't a good one. This ain't it, boss. On BD. This ain't it, nigga.
Was not colonized. But Ethiopia is also one of the burgeoning economies within Africa.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near like any Western country, right? Like it's not even, you can't compare them at all.
They're nowhere near any Western country, but there's been a lot of like interference in Ethiopia. I'm not going to bring up like Jewish people and all that, but if you do a little bit of historical like research, you'll see that there are players within Ethiopia that have significantly impeded Ethiopia's advancement.
So
but it's their
Ethiopia
responsibility.
maintained independence during the colonial era, except for a brief Italian occupation from 1936 to 1941 under Mussolini, but then they successfully defeated Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually an African American guy trained some of their like fighters. But what I'm telling you is Africa is having cultural issues. They're trying to adopt things that are traditionally not their way of doing things. And I'm not saying Africa is this great economic powerhouse. I'm not even saying Africans have the ability to build up Africa on their own. All I'm saying is there's other things that need to be considered. But the thing with the colonization thing, Ethiopia on the whole other side of Africa from Ivory Coast. Yeah, so you were way the fuck off.
That's fine. That's fine. All right. So,
but they were all colonized during a lot of those places were heavily impacted by the Muslim slave trade.
Yeah.
So when you talk about things, you talk about only in the context of America, but we talking about the whole.
Sure. All right. So history lesson aside, let's talk about today and why white people today are feeling fatigued and supporting Shiloh Hendricks. Because there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I already mentioned some of the things that happened just in the last week.
I keep getting confused when they keep mentioning that Shiloh Hendricks name. Like, who the fuck is Shiloh Hendricks? But that's the retarded ass white bitch who called the autistic black boy a nigger in the park.
There's more. There's this little, I don't know if you guys saw the video on Twitter, this little chubby white kid who got bullied on the park and his head split open. Right. We see videos like this all the time. Black people chimping out in the fast food restaurant. You go to get service from a black person. You're praying to get some decent service. There was a video of this guy in the airport trying to get on his flight, and you got the black woman going, and you thought you was going to get on your flight. Right. And you thought you was going to get on, just repeating herself over and over and over. Guy didn't get on his airplane because he pissed off the black woman.
That's not why, because everyone knows that boarding ends. If he was there 25 minutes before the flight leaves, you know that. I know that.
See,
you can't get on.
She did get fired
people.
for that.
They always stick up. Even when they're in the wrong, you'll stick up for your own people.
Like you with Aaron the plumber and Black.
She was 100% wrong. Those two ladies were wrong. But what I'm telling you is anyone who flies on a plane knows you ain't getting on no plane if you show up 25 minutes before it takes off. They literally close the gate like 30 minutes before takeoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even that, putting that aside though, it's her attitude. That's what drives people crazy. That's the stereotypical attitude, right? That stereotype exists for a reason.
Okay, blame the white people who hired her. Well, I wouldn't have hired her. I wouldn't have hired either one of them.
They probably are required to hire pretty racially diverse
that's been gone.
crews.
Well, they are required because there's just not enough white people to go around anymore. Like when I was in the Seattle airport, they got Indians all over the place now, and they're standing there, and they like the one guy told me to go left, but he meant right, and I'm just like, you had one job, dude. What are you doing? And you can barely understand them because of their accents.
I feel like we got to acknowledge. Do you take offense to him saying chimping out?
I don't give a shit about that. That ain't bothering me.
I mean, it's just.
I'm not a chimp.
Everybody knows what it means, and it describes it so well. Like, and I think like you could potentially have like white people chimp outs. They're just incredibly rare. You just don't see them every day on Twitter like you do with
I mean, mass shootings are chimp outs. Mostly white people are doing those.
No, that's different.
No, that's chimping out. That's freaking melting down, being super ignorant and selfish. That's chimping out.
Yeah, but those are planned out. Like that's a totally different phenomenon.
Those are planned out.
Yeah, they don't.
Wasn't much of a plan.
People don't wake up and say and then go and they get road rage and then they go do a mass shooting.
How do you know?
Because they study these things and they write about it. They plot it. They talk to people about their plots.
All right.
I mean, just equating the school shooter thing with the freaking out at the airport thing seems like kind of a stretch.
It's just ignorant shit.
He said
that's
it's
what it
the
is.
same-
It's things that are done with no
Yeah, in the
consideration
same
of others.
context.
The same
Tipping
way in
out.
which those
Shut your
two black
weird
ladies
ass up.
gave no consideration to the fact that, hey, this guy's like trying to get home to his family. You know, let me just help him as much as I can. That's the same ignorance. It's a little bit more extreme, but it's the same vein of ignorance that someone who says, one guy pissed me off. Now I'm going to go shoot up all the teachers and the kids in the school. It's the same type of ignorance.
I mean, can we all agree that the state of affairs currently, where you have, you know, a black person who does something antisocial, like in this case, a murder, and then raises $1 million from black people who basically completely ignore the realities of the situation, but want to get behind somebody who's part of their tribe, and then white people doing the same thing in reaction by supporting somebody like Shiloh Hendricks? This is not a tenable state of affairs, and this isn't something that should be encouraged.
White people started that, actually. You only started paying attention to it with the recent events. Dylan Roof had a GoFundMe, bro.
So,
am I wrong or am I right?
If he did, it would have gotten taken
Walked
down.
into a church, and killed 9 black people.
See, this is what black people love to do is they love to bring out every time something bad happened. I bet if we go 10 more minutes, you're going to be bringing up the Tulsa race
I
massacre.
don't give a shit about that. You guys pay reparations.
He's
for
talking
that?
about recently. This is recent. So now your bitch ass wanna navigate away from the fact that he's talking about some recent shit that a white man did. A mentally unstable white man just decided, I'm gonna go into a black church and go kill black people. Now he's like, oh, I know if we keep going another 10 minutes on this, we're going to talk about the Tulsa, Oklahoma murders. Let's talk about it. About how sick you white people are for no fucking reason. Bitch ass nigga, I'm
White
tired
people
of
are
y'all.
getting killed every day in America by black people. Every day, like about 45 a month.
Right.
So in Tulsa,
the
it was like
fuck is he
26
talking
black
about?
people who were killed. So there's a race massacre happening every month in America, perpetrated by black people.
That is false. That was a whole town that got murdered and slaughtered and massacred. And he talking about 45 white people get killed a month by black people. Where? I'm not saying it don't happen. I've seen it. I watch fucking crime stories all day long. It's probably once or twice, 3 times a month in whatever city you at. Niggas ain't just going out here killing white people. But white people are hunting black men. Let's talk about all the recent little vanishes of them young black teens that just vanished and got found hanging on trees a couple years ago. Down south. In sundown towns. Fucking just weird ass white men, bro. I got a couple minutes left for this shit and I'm out of here, y'all. I'm not finna cover no more race shit because this shit be pissing me off.
On white people, and we see the stories in the media every day. We see the Austin Metcalfs, the Logan Federicos. We see these people getting killed, and it hurts us because those are our people. We have a kinship with them.
It's a situation that you guys created.
What does that mean?
You guys created the current situation. If you look at all the white liberals, defund the police, black people are victims, this and that systemic oppression, that's mostly white people spreading those ignorant ass messages.
Well, we all agree that's good.
The bleeding heart, college maiden, and the college cuck are feeling so bad for black people they never even met that they're voting or screaming that we need to get rid of the funding for the police officers who actually would protect those white damsels from the aggressive black guys who are killing them and all this crap you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're even screaming right now.
Dylan Roof did not have a GoFundMe.
He did. It got taken down.
His sister created one to try to raise $5,000 to cover the cost of a canceled wedding and to fund a dream honeymoon. But no, he
Listen,
didn't have
man.
one.
That was Dylan Root's GoFundMe.
Yeah, and Kyle Rittenhouse didn't have one either.
I don't have a problem with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Well, I know. I wanted to say that at the start. You said people were trying to support him doing something wrong. He didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't say they were supporting him doing something wrong.
You did at the very start when you started going off all this, but we got off onto the slavery thing right away.
Where we were right before I said the thing.
I know exactly where we were.
Where was it?
We were talking about how you guys created this situation, and even now it's playing out because white people are literally caping for illegal criminal alien rapists.
What?
See?
You mean talk about the liberals? So, look, BLM is not a white movement. BLM is a black movement. The people got rich off of BLM.
No, it's not.
The whole defund the police thing is largely
Let me
black.
ask you a question. No, it's
Obviously,
not. No, it's not.
Yeah, that was largely a black
That's
thing,
not
right?
largely black. BLM, dude, who's the
All
number
the leaders of BLM are black. Yes, there are white liberals. We all, and they suck. There's no.
The person who started the BLM movement is not black. Let me look it up. I'm finna pull this up right now because these bitch ass niggas. Nah, that can't be it. They say it was 3 of them. But ain't none of these 3 females the female that I seen. I seen the female go to jail. There's the female who went to jail for spurging the BLM movement money. And none of them was her. Let me see. Right, none of this popping up. I gotta do some more research on it because I know when that. I swear I've seen some shit about she was a light skinned female, like lighter, and I can't remember, man. I gotta do some research on this, man. Don't kill me in the comments on this because I ain't have all my facts and research on it like my boy Brandon over here. That nigga's a book. I would hate to argue with that nigga.
white politicians getting
the
on stage.
murders go back before defund the police. Okay, the murders that have been happening didn't start in 2020 or whatever. It started decades ago.
What murders
I'm gonna get to that too. But what I want to point out is the fact: white people defend criminality. I know that because the number one people advocating for criminal, illegal, alien, migrant rapists to be in this country and get due process, they're literally killing white women. And other white women and white men are fighting Donald Trump tooth and nail to let those people stay in the country. Am I wrong or am I right?
There are people like that. They're liberals.
There's a lot of them.
Sure. As a far-right racist, okay, the way I look at stuff like that is that obviously people like me, we don't want the migrants here. We don't want any of them. We don't want to see our people getting killed by black people. The fact that white liberals disagree with me doesn't really it's not really relevant. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know what? The white liberals I have to get rid of because they're like in my tribe.
That's the biggest problem.
That's in the family. You know what I mean? That's in the family. That's like my problem in the family to deal with. You believe Same with the school shooters and whatever bad things white people are doing. Again, that's a white people problem that white people have to confront and deal with. But when it comes to problems from other races, that's like an outside foreign influence, foreign threat on my people. So I look at them separately. I look at them, they're different.
Can you look at what percentage of black people actually vote? Because that's your problem. You believe in God. You believe in Jesus. He's your savior. The Bible says you have to start.
How was your day?
It was all right. How was yours?
It's all right. I'm here doing a video right now.
Do you want me to put this back in the garage?
Yeah.
Your house first.
Right.
Because the main problem is in your house. White people by far make up the vast majority of voters in America. Literally, if you guys just came together on a few issues, you could make America look exactly the way you want it to look. But you're going to blame this on 14% of the population when there are people within that population who are like, why the hell are these idiots voting to defund the police?
But if only white people voted, the whole country would be red across the board.
So why don't you guys all agree and vote?
Yeah, there's still white liberals, but the problem
white
is
people are divided right down the middle, 50-50.
No, there's more conservatives. That's why the whole country would be red if only white people voted. The reason the whole country's not red is not because of white liberals. It's because all the minorities backing the white liberals, or vice versa.
If you look up the voting percentages, white people and lately Hispanic people are divided damn near 50-50 on liberal and conservative support. You got half of your group that's just a bunch of degenerates, and they love promoting and perpetuating degeneracy, but you don't want to accept that. So what you're doing is you're punching down on black people who really are losing our voting power by the second. And there is a significant portion of black people who don't want crime, don't want people getting murdered in the street. But we are not strong enough alone to beat the white degenerate liberals and the degenerates among our own group. They outnumber us.
This is a complete self-defeating argument, because even if whites were split 50-50, Republican, Democrat, which they're not.
Can you
but
just
even if they were, the blacks are like 90%.
He don't want to fact check it because he already did, and it's
makes
true.
you a degenerate. The black people have a way bigger problem going on there than the white people.
Listen, black people vote Democrat.
Yes.
No matter what the Democrats are pushing, right? This is a fact.
Less so now than before, but still, yeah.
Less so, but...
Alexa, stop it.
Democrats came and said, we're going to clean up the streets. We're going to get rid of the criminals. Black people would still what?
Vote for them.
Vote Democrat.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to get you to comprehend. If we just follow along with whatever the Democrats want to do, the Democrats are the degenerates. That's because we're voting, but they're deciding what we're voting for.
Every time I point out a thing that black people do, you pass you don't take accountability. It's always somebody else's fault.
This is a fact, Adam.
It's white people's fault that Africa's not doing good.
No, I didn't say anything about white people in Africa.
It's Democrats' fault that black people vote degenerately.
That is. A Democrat gets on stage and says shit like, our daughter, we need to do transgender rights.
Yeah.
Black people don't even believe in transgender rights. We just go along with it.
What does that say about black people?
What it's saying about you is you guys have a degenerate nature, and unfortunately, black people follow along with you.
I forgot to tell you that I have something in the oven. Did you take it out?
As if you're on the liberal side and do whatever you say is cool.
But you're saying this to someone who would presumably vote in the same direction that you would.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So while I argue against the degeneracy in black, see me, I focus on the element within my own group that's degenerate. You do the worst thing possible. You try to focus on other groups of people instead of first addressing the element in your demographic that is really the root of all this.
Hold on, niggas.
Shit.
Well, the problem is that the other people are in the house with us. So my view is like, get them out of the house and then clean up the house when it's less cluttered.
You still wouldn't be able to clean up the house because those degenerate ideas are entrenched into that side of the aisle. So if it's not blacks, it's just going to be Antifa. Antifa was the one burning shit down. Black Lives Matter, they did participate. But the people who were throwing the Molotov cocktails, burning down the police stations, those were largely Antifa terrorists, which is primarily made up of white people. You don't even know one black member of Antifa.
I don't know any members of Antifa.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
they wear masks for a reason,
But
right?
you can see what skin color they are.
I mean, I think Antifa is probably largely white.
Right.
I'm not
But
gonna
also,
argue that one.
black people invented defund the police.
Okay, but who pushed that narrative? Who adopted that?
There's a lot of useful white people, like Robin DiAngelo is one of the leading voices of the whole like white fragility movement or whatever. But like obviously that's very influential to black people who read these texts and force it upon each other.
Let me give you some names you know. Bernie Sanders, Andrea Ocasio-Cortez.
Puerto Rican.
Listen, no, right. But see, now we want to go into religion. See, but Joe Biden, he was talking that shit, and then at the very end, he was like, hey, we got to drop that shit because it's hurting us.
But you're not willing to go along with him when he says that he doesn't feel any solidarity with Jews.
No, because Jewish people and white people, which Jewish people are white, they have been in cahoots in many economic ventures that have hurt a lot of people around the world. Slave ships were owned by Jews that the white people sailed on to get over to America. Am I wrong?
No, that's absolutely true.
Okay, don't try to play me. I know this shit. So, but what I'm telling you is, if a black person says defund the police, it doesn't even make a sound. But when a white person who's a politician like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, who should know better, gets on the largest stage in America and starts saying that shit, that's when it becomes a problem.
ChatGPT says that the Jews didn't own the slave ships.
Man, ChatGPT, they're full of shit. I'm telling you right now. Listen. Israel manipulated that shit. You can't. I'm telling you.
Brandon, if I agree with you that we can't get rid of the ideas because the degenerate ideas are too entrenched, that just brings me
and white people.
Yeah, if I agree, and I think there's some truth to that, then that just brings me back to my original thing, which is, well, I got to get the people who are killing us to stop killing us.
Right. And you want me to tell you how you do that?
Yes, please.
Stop stripping parents of their power to discipline their children. That's all this is rooted in. You didn't have this shit happening in the 40s, the 50s, when white people were the most racist. Less white people were dying at the hands of white people. Of black people.
Yes.
Why is that? Because your daddy beat you. No, because I know that's what you want to think. But this is the thing. Because if your daddy is in the house and he gonna beat your ass if you go out there and do something crazy, or your mama gonna whoop your ass if you do something crazy, that's gonna make you think twice before you go do some degenerate shit. That's gonna force you to kind of straighten up. When white people strip black people of the ability to discipline their children.
But how have white people done that?
Because he knows. What is DCFS? What is child protective? What is all this crap? Go look it up. They've literally made it against the law to use corporal punishment against your children. Not limited
against the law,
including but not limited to even spanking.
I never heard that.
Okay, well you need to look it up.
Yeah.
Like in California, right? Corporal punishment is not necessarily illegal, but they say if your discipline causes trauma to your child will be removed from you.
Your child could just tell him that.
Oh, he's
your child could just go to school and be like, yeah, my mom whooped my ass, and it could be a case. Boom, DCFS is at your door. They want to come check you out
because he got his ass whooped. Okay, we can remove them. If you whoop your kid's ass, you're going to jail. 100%. When you remove that power, you strip the parents of that power, guess what? Kids went crazy.
Shit.
And black kids go a little bit harder because just the way our culture is. Now you got O Block. You didn't have O Block in Chicago in the 1980s or the 90s. You didn't have all that violence. But when you started to strip parents of the power to discipline their children the way they see fit, now you got a bunch of people who have no authority over their children.
Or what about just stripping the black man from the home and not giving the black man the resources to make a living for it and provide for his family so his kid won't be out there fucking causing havoc? What about that? I mean, I understand the whole outlook on them taking away the ability of disciplining the kids, but what about What about that? What about Section 8? What about them offering the black woman a home if she don't have a black man there? Like, to discipline the kids, to make sure that there's structure in the house so that black boy don't go out the house and act a goddamn fool. Like, I don't know. What about that?
And their children are parenting themselves, and they are getting sucked into all this violent behavior.
So you think the X factor is being able to legally beat the shit out of your kid?
Hell yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I got my ass whooped. Did you get your ass whooped?
Yeah.
Did you go? Did you go on a shooting spree?
I don't think it was a good thing.
No, but what I'm saying, some people go
It
above and beyond, right?
fear.
Right.
But just the fear of your father, the fear of your mother, greatly impacts the decision making. Did your dad whoop your ass?
A little bit, yeah.
Man, my foster mom used to always tell me, like, nigga, you gonna be afraid of somebody, and I'd rather it be me than, you know, you not be scared of somebody or nobody, because I mean, granted, I was still reckless. I wasn't really scared of her either, but she did install in me a thought. I can't say that. Which I installed into my boys. I installed fear into them little niggas. Like, I grew up getting fucked up. I'm not gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna give you a couple chances. I'm gonna make you hang yourself. But when I gotta act, I'm gonna act, and I'm gonna fuck you up. Period.
Before you did something bad, what's the first thing you thought about?
Getting my ass whooped.
Our kids now don't have that fear.
Right.
They say, I wish you would touch me. I'm going to call the police. And you're going to go to jail. And you know where you're going to go? Right to jail. Once you remove that hedge, now you're opening the gate for all types of bullshit to happen.
Couple things here. Okay, first of all, I guarantee you most white parents today are not interested in beating their kids. They're not doing it because it's illegal. They don't want to do it. And you don't have white kids getting into the same kind of criminal activity to anywhere nearly the same state. So this is the kind of thing that happens all the time where they say, oh, why are they committing so much crime? It's like, well, because they don't beat their kids. But okay, well, white parents aren't beating their kids either. You don't see them going out joining O Gang or whatever. What is that?
Block, yeah.
And then, like people say the same thing. Like white conservatives will say, "Oh, it's the music, it's the culture, it's like the rap music." But like white kids listen to rap music too. They don't go out and gangbang because they listen to a Snoop Dogg song or whatever. And then the other thing I wanted to say is, where are the black fathers? Because you mentioned them not being in the house. Did white people kick them out of the house too?
I'm going to get to that point. But what I'm telling you is this: we just witnessed 2 little kids having a shootout with the police. Those kids were not black. And I guarantee you white kids are committing way more crime now than they were in 1960 when their daddy was putting his foot in their ass. It's not happening as quickly because white people traditionally have a different mechanism for disciplining their children. And that goes back even to slavery and all that shit, but I'm not bringing that up. What I'm telling you is, if you spare the rod, the biblical, you a Christian, you got that cross right there, you ruin the child. You guys have made it to where black people can't even use the rod. And we are seeing since that time, I bet you if we mark the time when corporal punishment became taboo, I bet you will see a significant increase in the crime rate in the black community. I know that I was scared to get my ass whooped, so I didn't do certain shit. These kids have no fear of their parents, and they are getting more violent, aggressive, and degenerate by the day. And black folks ain't passed no laws to end corporal punishment. We didn't make that shit taboo. Our mom was like, nah, I'm gonna whoop your ass if you do that.
So what's your perspective on, like, I take it that you believe that black people genetically or whatever are just unlikely to be able to exist peacefully in society?
They're just more violent. They're more prone to violence. I think there's ways you can prove things. It's not like there's nothing you can do, but it requires a lot more discipline. I don't know, man. Where are the black dads? It would help if they stuck around, but I don't know how we're supposed to make that happen. I want to hear what Brandon has to say.
White people created entitlement programs. Entitlement programs required fathers to not be in the home for mothers to receive those entitlement programs.
Right.
And so if you're struggling to survive, and you like, man, you've been in struggle before with your wife or whoever, like, man, when money's a little tight, you know what I'm saying?
So the black women are kicking the men.
That's
out
exactly
so
what happened. They literally, basically, your white-run government, especially at that time, they incentivized the deconstruction of the black nuclear family, and that took the father out the home, and that left the mother to raise the kids. And slowly, what they did was they started reducing the amount that they gave for the entitlements, which then required the mother to go to work.
I'm finna leave this here, man, because this is taking too long. Obviously, dude don't know nothing. Like, he's trying to say they set up these entitlement programs for the black mom to not have the black father in the house, a.k.a. food stamps, welfare, Section 8. They offer them all of these things so you can live comfortably. You don't have to work hard. We'll take care of you, but you can't have a man here in the house. And during that time, in that era, that's when a lot of black men were going to jail for drugs. And a lot of our black men, a lot of our OGs was getting locked up at that time. It wasn't a lot of too many real OGs out on the streets to give the young nigga structure like myself. Like, they was all locked up from trying to make a living, trying to provide, because there wasn't no jobs. They wasn't giving us no jobs. They wasn't giving us no loans to create businesses. We were systematically oppressed. Like, I don't know what the fuck the conversation is here. Like, it's still going on to this day. Granted, it's a little lenient now. If you work on your credit, try to get your credit a little bit better, you can work on business credit and try to fund yourself that way. But it's all a scam, bro. And yeah, if the black man was out on the streets instead of being locked up for bullshit ass crimes, they was locking niggas up for 10, 15 years for drug cases. 20 years for drug cases. And niggas don't have money to get lawyers to fight their cases now. There's probably some still in there locked up now to this day, but they don't have the money for lawyers to get them out. To revisit their case, to go back up, put it in a pill in, you know, it costs money to do that. So, I don't know. I'm low-key tired of hearing this shit. This white man has drained me. He don't know what the fuck he talking about. Brandon, I'll give you your props on this debate. This was a good debate. You schooled the fuck out that nigga, even though he don't want to hear what you got to say. One of them niggas was hungry. I heard somebody's stomach growling and shit, so I don't know. Nigga was probably already tuned out a long time ago, but it is what it is, man. But that's that for that video. It's your boy Fly Guy with Fly Guy TV, man. If this is your first time to the channel, don't forget to drop a comment down below. Let me know what y'all think of the content. Let me know what y'all thought about this goofy ass debate. Was Adam a goofy for even having this shit on the channel? I'm not finna watch another hour of this shit. This shit is trash. Like, they both don't know they facts. They just pretty much being ignorant, being racist off emotions and shit. It ain't no merit to what they talking about. Like, I don't know. But Brandon, you keep doing your thing, big dog. I'm gonna low-key tap in with you, man. I'm gonna try to find your channel, see if I can tap in with your content. I'll fuck with you over Flacco for sure. Flacco, get the fuck out of here, man. Your man. But yeah, like I said, man, into the next video, drop a comment, leave a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I drop. It's your boy Fly Guy with Fly Guy TV, and we out.